Nice go. What play? Take the field. Play 40 seconds of doorstep for field.
This is a reaction you can get, understand? Because this is going to... Understand? This is your drill. You are backer! 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 I like protecting the vital parts. Get the fucking intention behind it, Now deal with him, now deal with him, now deal with him, understand?
Welcome back, everyone. Today we have a great guest all the way from the Netherlands. His name is Michiel Mulder. It's Michiel, Mulder, Mulder. He is the head of Urban Combatives Netherlands. You can find Urban Combatives Netherlands on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. He's got over 24,000 followers over on YouTube. Definitely want to check out some of his videos. So again, we're going back to the world of combatives. We're going to look at it differently. We're going to look at martial arts differently than we normally get to see it in the last 50 years. We've seen a lot of TV shows and movies, and we'll talk to Michiel about that too, and see what his favorite movies are. But before we do that, we'll learn more about his philosophy and what he trains and how he trains. Before we get started, share, subscribe, hit that like button. You know we like it. So let's not waste any more time. Welcome to the show, Michiel Mulder. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for being here, especially over there in the Netherlands. I know it's like, what is it, 8 hours ahead. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Cool.
I guess the first things first, Michiel, I'm always, my major is psychology. That's what I teach. I guess I'm always fascinated by that. What kind of an upbringing did you have? I mean, were you bullied when you were young? Did you get into a lot of fights? Has that kind of led you into the martial art world? Or
Good question. First of all, I had a really hard but fair upbringing, I have to say. I had nice parents, caring parents, but it was always like, don't complain, work your ass off mentality. Yes. And I was always, when I was younger, a skinny boy, and I'm actually writing a book. I'm only at chapter 4 and I postpone it all the time. And then I find an excuse for not doing it, but I need to do it. And it's going to be about my journey from a young kid to a bouncer, from bouncer to a combatives instructor. But part of that is that I was really skinny when I was younger, and I found out soon that they target me as a victim. And of course, it's the classic story. You get beat up, and I was sick of that, and I started to train Thai boxing when I was younger. And then with the training come more confidence, etc. And then I got my bully back. So it was for me a metaphor of life. Yeah. So it started with bully. Yes, classic story, but people treat you the way you let them. And you have to correct them, and that's how my journey went. So I worked on my assertion, especially later on working the doors. Assertion became my one of my best qualities. So I'm not insecure anymore. Of course, everybody has some small insecurities, but I really override that security by the training and the thinking behind it. So yes, it started like that with most martial artists, I guess. You start from an interest. Again, you started talking about movies. I started when I was 12 already. Even one, that's funny, my mother had a small booklet when you are like 9 years old. Then you put it in your classmates' booklet, and it says, what do you want to become later when you are a grown up?
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be a teacher of a martial art. So when I was 9, I knew already that was one of my passions. And then the movies came, and then the bullying came, and then I used that to stop the bullying. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, since 9 years of age.
Yeah, really funny. Yeah.
Did you have a mentor at all and that you liked? I mean, did you like Bruce Lee? Was it Chuck Norris? I don't know how old you are. So
Jean-Claude Van Damme. For me, it was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean. That makes sense.
Yeah. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he was, the first movie I saw was Bloodsport. Commando with Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
at the time, it was still allowed to be a real man, at least on television.
That's actually an interesting question before we start getting into your philosophy over there in the Netherlands. How big is martial arts?
It is big.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it is really big. Until the point that my combatives, I'm an international instructor by now, but I have to go abroad because in the Netherlands, we're so martial art based, especially the kickboxing and Thai boxing, that people and younger people especially, they always go to kickboxing, boxing, Thai boxing. So it's literally
Wow.
the Dutch are great in martial arts. It started in the 80s with the karates, but now it evolved, and everybody I know is doing some kind of MMA, free fight, kickboxing, Thai boxing. It's really big. And that's when they miss the combative part. They think it's the self-defense stuff, that a lot of stuff is diluted and not really great. But the majority of my class, my group lesson, I have to say, is people 30 plus. They did martial arts, but they found out, this is not really applicable. At least not everything is applicable for the street. And now they come to my class. But the majority is just training kickboxing. So it's big. It's 100% big.
And I want to make sure the audience knows too. I am not here, and I'm not sure, but I'm sure maybe you agree as well. I'm not here to attack or criticize the traditional martial arts, because I think they have a purpose. It teaches discipline, it teaches honor and respect.
100%.
Yeah, but combatives is not the same.
No, listen, the traditional martial arts is exactly what it is. It gives you, for example, it gives you flow, tactile sensitivity. It gives you basic understanding. It gives you discipline, like you said. Then we go to the combat sport. That gives you mindset. They're proper warriors. So I'm not bashing anybody. I mean, everything martial art related, I'm open to it. I want to listen to it. And that's what combatives is. Combatives is every principle, concept, or skill set that has proven itself to work on the real fight stress. It's driven by mindset and attitude, but everything martial art related that is gross motor and workable on the real fight stress, we take and we use and we adapt. So it's nothing new. It's just how you install it and keep it simple and gross motor. So every martial art gives me something. Judo gave me standing balance. Boxing gave me impact power and understanding of body mechanics. Thai boxing gave me the understanding of the mindset, keep on pushing, but also how to use my elbows and my knees, etc., etc. So it all gives you something. Even the biggest, because sometimes people tag me in these ridiculous clips. Yeah, and they're funny guys, and they call this the McDojo stuff. Even they can teach me something. They teach me how not to do it. It's simple. So don't be arrogant. I'm not bashing anybody. I respect everything, but it is just, combatives is just designed for something else, totally different. And because it looks alike, people often mistake it for a martial art, and it's not. It's not.
That's a great point. You made another great point earlier, just before we started the show, talking about the mindset and the psychology behind it. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's the difference there?
Yeah, that is exactly the difference. Because what it is, sport is 90% skill set and dealing with 10% emotional stress. The objective to deal with real violence and the objective of combatives is to deal with 90% emotional stress and have 10% skill set under this stressful dynamic. So advanced combatives is not becoming more technical. It becomes the basics done well under high stress. So it's not like BJJ, what is great in grappling, it's absolute great, but you have to do it 4 or 5 times a week. You have so much technique, and then you have to own it so it becomes your blueprint. Advanced combatives is the basics, nothing changes, but you're doing it better under high stress. That is the difference. If you look at my stress test, and it's not to show how cool I am, it's not that. I'm just showing you, there's a stress test on my YouTube channel, and then first couple of minutes, they pre-fatigue me, and my mentor is doing that. My mentor, Lee Morrison, is one of the best individuals. He's my second father, and I owe him everything. Let that be clear. Yes. I found out with my experience, a lot of stuff, he gave it a name and he gave me a deeper understanding. So I owe him everything. Let that be clear. So I'm not thinking, it's not what I came up with myself. It's a conclusion of what I found out in life with his knowledge. Yes. So, but they make me really tired and dizzy to mimic real fight stress. And now you're going to fight multiple attackers. You don't know when, you don't know how. And then on the end of the training, you're dead. You're really wasted, but you never start fresh. But what you see is, if you compare it to other people doing it, that if you are advanced in combatives, that you see the principles coming back out of the chaos in the fight. And when somebody new is doing it, they will crush it also, as long as they keep on fighting, because it's mainly a mindset test to never give up. But then you have to search for the principle. It's more chaotic, make more chaotic. So that then you can see if somebody is really good in combatives, but it doesn't become more technical, because if the heart rate goes up in real fight stress, and especially when your amygdala, threat detecting organ, is triggering your brain, heart rate goes up between 115 beats and 145 beats per minute. Your complex motor skill, like boxing, for example, complex motor skill is at its best. But above the 145 beats per minute, you end up with gross motor skills only. That's why a fight is always looking big motion and not technical, like in a fight, like in a match fight. Yes. And I always take the example of the bout of Conor McGregor and Khabib, two best fighters in the world. Totally respect them, and they have perfect combinations in the fight. And then after the fight, chaos starts, and everybody starts to beat everybody. And where is the technique now? There is no technique. Even Conor McGregor gives a crazy punch and get hit from the side. And that's the difference. The emotional aspect is the difference that makes the difference in combatives training, and to train for the real event. And with real event, I mean violence. Yes.
That was great stuff. I wish I had you repeat all that. That was really good. You did a great job. I never heard that before either, because it's so true. I watch a lot of the videos lately. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that I've asked other individuals about. I'm always trying to learn. You guys are the experts. I'm just here learning and sharing it. But it's so true. A lot of times you see these people swinging for the fences. They have no clue. And I didn't put that together. The fine motor skills and the gross motor skills were being comprised when the heart rate starts going up to such a degree. Yes. That's really fascinating. It's so true. I guess you also mentioned in regards to the mindset, which I've only heard once so far by Tim Larkin. And it doesn't mean nobody else believes it. It just, he just brought it up. But the concept of realizing that if you're in a street fight, you have to have that thought of death. There's a potential there for you, especially if it's somebody who's trying to hurt you that way. What were you thinking about that? What's your thoughts on having the mindset of knowing that you could die? How does that change?
First of all, you know that. I mean, that's the difference that makes it different. That's why you train with you try to simulate it in training, and then you understand the necessity of starting with a level 10 response in your brain. And if you only need a 5, you put the volume down. That said, I refuse to think like this when I deal with an aggressive subject. I cannot escape. I cannot avoid and de-escalate, because that's what I always want to do. Because the majority of combatives training is to train for the 20%. And what I mean with that is this: 80% of the people that are aggressive and give you a problem is the individual that had the last drop that was done. It's a good guy having a bad day, and you are going to get it all today because this and this reason. But the other 20%, and that 80%, what I want to say with that is you can probably de-escalate them if you know how. To swallow your ego, to give in a little bit, to talk them down. It's possible. If you say to them, sorry, I totally understand your problem, and then he starts about his problem, now you know, okay, he's a good guy having a bad day. You can de-escalate. There's no necessity for you to hit him first or to attack him first. But the other 20% is the sociopath. They have a hidden agenda and they want to do something with you anyway. Doesn't matter how much you try to de-escalate and to avoid. Yes. So understand, we train for that specific individual. And if I need to deal with them and I cannot avoid and escape and de-escalate, I refuse to think about injury. I'm only busy with a predatory mindset. So I'm thinking only what I'm going to do with him. So I have some recording. This junkie comes forward and I try to de-escalate, and he comes forward with bad intention twice. And I said in my brain, one more step, and I'm going to hit him. I didn't say to myself, I'm going to hit him with a left or a right slap or with a direct punch. No, I just said to myself, I hit him, and I did it. And a left slap came out while I'm right-handed. So I refuse to think about consequence. I want to do what's reasonable and necessary, but I refuse to block negative thinking in my brain. Because if I think about injury that he can do to me, now I'm not predatory anymore. Now there's a possibility I capitulate. So I block every thinking like this. I switch on my aggression. From the inside, it starts first. So I try to act cool. And then when there's a necessity, I switch on aggression on the switch. So nobody's fearful when angry. You can only be in one emotional state at a time. So with that comes also the way you think. Think like a predator. So Lee says, and it's a great example because I use it in my brain a lot. If somebody's presenting me a problem and I know I cannot de-escalate this, I'm only thinking, how does his jaw sound when I give him a hook? That is a predatory thinking. Or what I'm already doing is recently a guy stepped out of his car, he had a problem, and he was tapping his pocket. For me, this is a pre-threat cue. I now understand there's probably a weapon in that pocket. He did it without thinking. One of my private students is undercover agent, and he did the same when he was on the cover. He once in a while tapped his jacket to feel if his gun was still there. So that's a pre-threat cue. And I was already busy. This guy was aggressive towards me, and I tried to de-escalate with the fence. So I keep my hand up, and I was already positioning him in a way that if I hit him, he didn't land with his head on the curb, the concrete. So I was positioning him in a way that he fell on the soft grass. That is predatory thinking. I said this later on to myself, like, I was predatory already. I was not busy with this weapon. I just said to myself, when he goes to that pocket, I will knock him out, but I have to be careful. I have to position him in a way that he doesn't crush his skull against the curb or the concrete, because I don't want to go to jail protecting myself. I think that is the difference that makes the difference, how you think.
That's great stuff. So that's a big difference. And I've never heard that before. There's positioning somebody to land on the grass, because you're right. The legal ramifications over in the US, I think I spoke to a professor who studies homicides and assaults. And he was telling me over 70% of the homicides and assaults are due to conflict, unresolved conflicts. They get into arguments, and then some idiot hits another idiot. There was one 2 months ago. I still tell the story about two guys that were arguing over a college football game, and they got into a fight, and then one guy shot the other and he killed him.
For nothing. They died for nothing.
For a football game. And he's 25 years old. Now he's going to go to jail probably for 20 years. That's his whole life.
Was it worth it? I don't think so. No,
not at all.
No.
So that was really interesting. I guess the other thing, I've talked to other individuals in the world of this combatives as well as mixed martial arts. By the way, folks, again, we're talking to Urban Combatives Netherlands. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Michiel is who we're talking about, the founder. Michiel, the other thing is endurance. This is going to be a big issue. A lot of times we see that in MMA and UFC, where they just run out of gas. They don't have enough energy to keep fighting, and poof, that's it.
Yeah.
What's your take on how important endurance is for fighting?
Of course, you need to have overall endurance, but understand the difference. Sport, there is time to rest. So you have a explosive combination, and now there is time to get some gas back. Yes. The altercation on the street often is all out energy that is spent in 5 seconds. And there is a risk of dealing with another subject, another 5 seconds, and maybe another subject, another 5 seconds. So it's 15 seconds all out under the real fight stress. So when adrenaline is hitting the bloodstream, that's the difference that makes the difference. Because when I was training Thai boxing and I did competition, there was, of course, adrenaline, but it was a different kind of adrenaline. You had the adrenaline to work to your fight. And then if I could fight, for example, 1 hour full in my class, I had already lack of gas in the first minute round. Yes, that is because of the adrenaline and the stress. But the real fight on the street has the downside of taking all the energy away in a split second. So within 5 seconds, you better switch on that aggression to state manage, to control your fight stress, because your energy is spent really quick. So we train explosive all out, and then another session. That
Oh, wow.
now you're training for the worst case scenario. So we can combine that by explosive, run, explosive for 5 seconds, run, explosive, run. That's the energy that you need for the real event. That's different than, for example, when you grapple, you travel on your subject. You can get a position that he needs to struggle more, you get some energy back, etc. There is no time for that, because the street is explosive, done. So a good point that we say is always this: what happens the first 10 seconds in a boxing match? Nothing much, right? They feel.
Yep.
What happens the first 10 seconds on the street? Everything, it's done already. So with that mentality, you need to train.
I mean, it's interesting because I do another podcast called Stories of Special Forces. So I interview Green Berets, Navy SEALs, and whatnot. And we talk a lot about their training before they actually become an official Green Beret. I think you guys have Royal Marines, I think it is, over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I interviewed a guy who's a Royal Marine from over there in the Netherlands. And the interesting thing is they kind of have a similar mindset to you, because they work on the mind, they work on discipline, they work on pushing themselves harder as much as they can. And I see your training on Instagram, and I see the intensity of it. It's really intense. Is this something also that's part of your training, is not only getting them to know the technique that they have to use, but also the mindset to be able to take on this intense barrage?
Yeah, that is the majority of my training is based on that mindset and that switching on of the aggression. So the all-out energy, especially when you go to the ground, you don't want to end up on the ground, because there's always more than one kicking your brain in. Doesn't matter how good of a grappler you are. If you are grappling and you find your position before submission, there's always a girlfriend with the glass smashing you in the neck. I saw it happening. A friend kicking you in the face. So you want to go up as quick as you can. If somebody's on top of me, I want to get him off me as quick as I can, because I don't know if he's reaching for a weapon. If he's on top of me, I cannot see if he's reaching for the weapon. So if I need to hit first, I better finish him quick, because there's probably a friend jumping in, and maybe he will retaliate, and he's much stronger than you. Because understand, if you got victim selected in the first place, because we do not fight for ego. If you can avoid and escape, you would. If I see a problem before it's becoming a problem, so I use my awareness, I'm getting gone. I don't need that. I don't want to fight for ego. I have nothing to prove to nobody. I know my shit. So there is, for me, better way to avoid. So my challenge now, especially working the doors, is how can I communicate only with words and get him out of his emotion, or out of the red zone, for example. That's the challenge. It's for me not difficult to knock him out, because I know I can knock people out. So that's the challenge for me. But if you get victim selected in the first place, the predator that victim selected you thought he was way stronger than you, and he probably is stronger than you. So if you have to become physical now, you hit him first, but now you don't want to wait for a result, is it? If you hit him first, now you make him angry, now he eats you alive. So if you hit first, you want to exploit this initiative by grabbing him, hit him again, and hit him again, until the threat's done. Doesn't matter how skillful he was, he never had the chance to show you. So that's the difference. So that's what you see Urban Combatives is working with, and that's great. We have the 3 key elements of self-protection. The first one is non-physical. It's what we call your street smarts. It's everything related how you can avoid. So your awareness, seeing the problem before it's becoming a problem. Your body language profile. Are you confident, or are you insecure? Or are you insecure? That's also insecurity, yes. Are you showing like easy food, or you look like no food at all? Yes. How do you listen to your instinct? Because your instinct is not a sixth sense, it's your subconscious brain seeing pre-that cues that you don't understand on a cognitive level yet. After the event, you always get confirmation back, like, you see? So when I work the doors, I always listen to my instinct. It's an official resource. So also, how do I use my voice? Assertive or aggressive? Back off, I don't want it. Back the fuck off, something like this. That's more aggressive. So how do you protect your personal space? So the first block is everything, the street smart, everything non-physical. Yeah. Also, how do I position myself, tactical position, how to use contact management, etc., etc. If you need to become physical, we like to use the proactive dynamic. And it means you are the first with action, because action always beats reaction. Because a lot of self-defense schools, they start with, okay, this is the rear naked choke and this is the solution. How the fuck did you end up in a rear naked choke, mate? You missed stuff. Somebody is behind you choking you. I mean, I'm not telling you shouldn't train it, but for us, that's the reactive physical dynamic. That's the third part of the self-protection. Yes, you need to train it. It's your plan B. And yes, you need to understand how it works. But also, the emphasis is hit first, attack first, if you cannot avoid and escape and de-escalate. If you doubted yourself, you didn't do it, and now you're getting attacked, now you are reactive. That's different. Plus the stuff that we teach you that works proactive also works in a reactive way. So it's not a collection of techniques. It's simple toolbox with gross motor skill set that works reactive, proactive. So that's the difference.
Now we got like 100 questions for you. It's interesting. So I watch, like I said, I watch a lot of videos. So I always look at things that I see patterns in. And one of the things I notice is you always get the two fools that get really close to each other. They get about like right, maybe a couple inches apart. I'm assuming
the bull,
the bullhead, right? I'm assuming you don't recommend that. You try to keep as much distance as possible. Is that true?
100%. We use the Jeff Thompson. It's part of UC also now. We use the fence, so we keep the hands up and we protect our personal space. The fence have different reasons. So first, I put my hand up, and you can find your way. I'm doing it like this, but some people prefer, especially when I work the doors, I do it like this, and then I keep my distance like that.
Oh, the spear system?
It's not spears. It has something, we say talking Italian, but if you look at Jeff Thompson, he was the first that understand, I think in the 80s, that the traditional martial arts is not enough. So he adapted it, he battle tested it. So he is the father of combatives, if you like. And we keep the hands up. Dutch police officers, for example, what they do often, they have the bulletproof vest. There's somebody aggressive in front of them, and they have the hand in the pocket like this. Now it's waiting to get the first blow. Or your hands in the pockets, also wrong. Head to head and the arms to the back, also wrong. Keep the hands up. Try to talk it down. Yes. As soon as my leading hand is touching the subject, that's for me one count. He's touching my fence now. I now know if my fingertips are touching his chest, that if this is touching his chest, this hand can reach his face. But it's also an intentionary. So first of all, it's protecting personal space for a split second. When I touch, it's a rangefinder. But also, if somebody comes forward and I have to do a step back, now he's touching my fence. I count in my brain. That's one touch on my fence. If he slaps my hand away now, how much more information do you need that you have to do something? He just touched twice my fence. Now I will attack him first. There's no necessity or no need for to stay in denial. Is this really happening? Oh, is he really doing it? No, he's coming forward, he's touching my fence. And this fence you can also push like, sir, back up, you make me really uncomfortable. Or when he slaps it away, that's for me the signal I hit him. And sorry to say, but sometimes I have the 0 touch rule. If somebody has bad intention in his face, he comes forward, his nose is over toes, and he's not listening to my verbal cues, I will knock him out first. I will not wait for his response.
Oh, wow. Let me make sure for the listeners out there, if you're listening to this on audio only, so what he did, he had, Michiel had his left hand out with his fingers splayed. So he had his hand out, his left arm, I think, in his hand, and then the right hand was behind him. So he was using the left hand as, like he says, as a fence, kind of as a guide to get a range, just like you would see a boxer with their left jab. And then obviously when he touched it, or somebody touches it, then you violated that fence. So
what I like to do, I use the analogy of holding a shotgun. You see, so I'm talking with him, and my brain says, don't make me shoot my shotgun. And the shotgun is from this position, boom, the strike in the face. So in my brain, I'm holding a shotgun. Understand? That is also putting emphasis on my predatory thinking. Don't make me shoot my shotgun. Do one step forward. Don't touch my fence another time, because I have to be first with action. And of course, this is if you cannot avoid an escape and run, because if he's not blocking my back, I will fucking run. There is no necessity for violence. If you can run, you should. Then you deal with your ego later. Yes, violence is only negative. in every way or form. It's psychological, physically, but also juridical. It's only negative. So if you can avoid, best thing ever. But in the case I cannot avoid, I want to be first.
That's great
Best.
advice. So a lot
Yeah,
of
right.
people don't do that.
No. And I have to say, I struggle with my ego sometimes. Everybody does that.
Sure.
So I always have to correct myself, like, is this word hitting him? No, it's not. And then swallow your pride, give in a little bit, try to use humor. Yes. Verbal judo is as equal as important.
Yeah.
Talk somebody down. It's really important. It's smart. And that's good because I'm busy with one of the drills, and I call this the negotiator drill. Yeah. And I'm going to give you the first explanation of this. What I want my students to do, because I wrote down 12 scenarios. For example, you took a parking spot by accident. Then somebody is reaching the students and says, "Hey, yo, motherfucker, what the fuck are you doing? That's my parking spot. Give me my fucking parking spot back." Now you can go against it and say, "No, I never saw you." Now you have a conflict. You could say now, "Oh, sorry, man, I didn't see it at all. I will directly put my car away, man. Sorry." And maybe he will say now, "You know what? Never mind, leave it." Or he says, "Yeah, get your car away." Now you get it away now and find another spot. It is what it is. Yes. But what I'm doing with this negotiator drill, I'm teaching my students this analogy. Yes. I tell them, you are a negotiator now. You need to talk with a dude that holds a detonator in his hand. As soon as you bruise his ego, he will push the detonator. Somewhere, your loved one is tied on a chair with a bomb. Is he pushing that detonator? Your loved one is gone. Now, would you do everything in your power to save his ego, yes or no?
Yes.
And then they say, of course, yes. So with this thinking, I want them to become the negotiator and talk every situation that he gives to you, every role play, he talks it down. Yes. But let's say you deal with the psychopath I just explained before, the one with the hidden agenda. Because while I'm doing that, my pet or my role player is holding a pet and he's giving you the role play. And you play the negotiator, try to talk it down without messing up his ego. And then once in a while, he will still come forward, and now you need to hit him. Because what you train now is also the individual that cannot be talked down, that is the sociopath that will come forward anyway. But the majority of times, you will de-escalate the situation. This is verbal judo. It's not really cool on YouTube or on Instagram, but it is the difference that makes a difference. Understand that you have already answers in your brain installed that you can throw out. Somebody says, "What the fuck you looking at?" I'm like, "Awesome t-shirt, man, really great." Because, for example, what I had once, I was working at an event and there was a bodybuilder, big dude, and he looked at my arms and he was intimidated by it. I don't know what he was thinking because it was his problem. And I saw it, he looked again and looked at it again. And for me, it's no problem to knock him out. I can do that, no worries. But I didn't feel like it because it's not the challenge. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that individual. So I went to him and I said to him, "Your arms are sick, dude. How much do you train and what exercise do you use? It's fucking great." And then I saw him growing. He was happy with it. And then the end of the evening, he said, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And we gave each other a hand. I had a brother for life. So if you can do that, that's better, right? Try to de-escalate before it becomes a problem. That's the point I want to make. So
that's a great point. It's a great point. Sometimes people have low self-esteem, and to build it up, they go after other people. But
yes.
But you made a point earlier, which was really interesting too. A lot of these individuals are nice people. They just have low self-esteem. And sometimes if you treat them nicely before it gets into a situation, like you said, now you have a buddy possibly that maybe learns from it. No, that's true. I've seen that happen a few times in life.
Yeah. 100%.
Let me ask you this, Michiel. So let's say I took a plane, went to visit Netherlands, and I said, "All right, Michiel, work with me. What are we going to do?" How would you start off for somebody who's going to start training with you?
First of all, I will directly show you how to blitzkrieg somebody. Oh. And with blitzkrieg, it means a preemptive and offensive campaign designed to totally overwhelm the enemy before any retaliation or recovery is possible. So I'm going to teach you me, finished. And why would I do that? Because it's the physical part backing up the mindset. Because I'm not teaching you how to hit a pad on just a simple palm strike. I will teach you how to hit it with every aggressive fiber in you. Because you want to state manage your fight stress. So what is fight stress in the first place? Pain, fatigue, fear, confusion, disorientation, and adrenaline. That makes fight stress. And to state manage that, you need a state axis. And with state axis, I mean the right emotional state for the right situation. You need to state axis the right emotion to state manage your fight stress. So in case of dealing with aggression and to deal with adrenaline, especially in the interview, if somebody is giving you an interview, you cannot avoid an escape, and he is giving you aggressive role play or aggressive dialogue, I have to say. There is something happening inside of you that's really scary. There is buildup of adrenaline. Now you can think, oh, my arms are shaking, my mouth is dry, I have tunnel vision. Or you start to think differently and switch on the aggression so you can utilize the buildup of adrenaline as an energy resource. So I would teach my students to go from 0 to 100 in a split second. And of course, depending who it is, I will start really slow. But let's say they have a martial background already. I just have to install in them the tools. How do you palm strike? How do you hammer fist? How do you elbow? But that's not the most important thing. I would first directly switch on his aggression or try to switch on his aggression. Some people get it, some people don't get it. But if they get it, it is the missing link. Now they start to hit harder. Now, when they hurt their hand while they're hitting them, they state manage that pain by switching on the aggression, because now you state manage the pain by state axis of aggression. So aggression is good, but also understand that the aggression is cold and clinical. So you need to switch it off again, because after the event, let's say you need to fight, you want to switch back to cognitive thinking because you want to make tactical and smart decision again. So you want to go to the nearest exit possible. You want to talk with a police officer without incriminating yourself. You want to use self-triage. See if you have injury. You need your frontal lobe for that. I don't have to explain you. I mean, you know. Yeah. So it's aggression on a on and off switch, cold and clinical. That's what I would do. And then the skill set can be everything you want. But I would teach them to hit first. First, understand them that it's the worst case scenario. And the last thing, your last resort, but to hit first, to grab, to keep on hitting the individual. Because, for example, when I was working the doors, I knocked out a semi-professional MMA fighter, and I didn't know. I found that out later. Uh-oh. And that was better for me, because maybe it was stuck in my brain, like, oh, he's a professional fighter, etc. But he doesn't matter how good he is, he never had the chance. Understand? That's the point I will teach my student of self-protection. And of course, I will teach them the awareness, because that is always number one, seeing the problem before it's becoming a problem. And with awareness belongs the pre-tet cue recognition. How can you see when you are victim selected? How can you see if somebody is reaching for a weapon? How can you see if somebody is shifting body weight to hit you in the face? How do you see if he's touching his face in hiding his attention before he strikes? Why does he look around before he hits you, etc., etc.? That is all the soft skills. So I will teach you soft skills and hard skills. But the majority of training is a metaphor for working here on the mindset. How do you deal with the aggression from another human being? Because this is one of our biggest fears, to deal with the interpersonal aggression from another human being. So you need to get that first and understand that it's not so easy as it looks. It's different.
It is very different. That's a great, and those soft skills too is something I was going to ask you a couple of questions about too, because that's one of the things that it's really important, because it really gives you a heads up, as you mentioned.
It's the missing link.
Yeah. Now you mentioned getting ready to punch, so it reminds me of blading. When the person turns, blading. So when they blade, that's going to be a signal for you to go, uh-oh, why is that right foot going back?
100%. Even until the point that when in UC we train our students to hold the pad, that we tell them start flat-footed. Because if my student that holds the pad is having one foot forward and the other, so he is bladed, that gives you the best balance. But normally when you see head-to-head behavior and predatory behavior, they almost stand flat-footed. But also my pad feeder, when he's standing bladed, now my student without thinking, without knowing, is training his brain to ignore a pre-tat cue. So I tell my students, pad feeder, stand flat-footed. As soon as the pad feeder shifts body weight, so he's going to be bladed, now you attack. So now for them, it's going to be a pre-tat cue. Instead of saying go, that's their go. As soon as you go from bladed position, attack. Another thing that could be is, for example, when he has a popping elbow. You see this? If I have a knife in my waistline, popping elbow. When there's a knife in the back, popping elbow. When there's a knife, even a neck knife under my t-shirt, popping elbow. So this popping elbow for me is a pre-tat cue. It's probably reaching for a weapon. Do you want to wait for confirmation what comes underneath or out of his belt, underneath his t-shirt? No. What I had in the past, hand excurement is also, if I don't see the hand, that is a cue for me. When I worked security, there was this one individual, 10 minutes, he was full on aggressive. I tried to de-escalate and he went to the back. I said, don't do that. And he stopped halfway. I said, don't do that, sir, don't do that. And he was still reaching. So I slapped him and I knocked him out. And when we rolled him over, it was a pack of cigarettes. Sorry, I cannot wait for that confirmation. Is it a knife? Is it a knife? Yes, it was a knife, and now I have a problem when you're in conversation range. So I warned you, if you don't listen, sorry, that's a consequence. Could also be that I eat a knife in the other hand. So that's the, yeah.
Let me ask you, so I know some people are going to say, well, wait a minute, what about the legal ramifications there? Can you hit them like that and not get charged with assault? I don't know how it is in the Netherlands, so it might be different laws. I don't know.
No, the laws are horrible in this case. So again, you can have a problem. It's not, the juridical system is not based, in my opinion, to see what is justice. They want to see who they can prosecute, or how you say that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, in my book, sometimes you can have a problem with that, but it's also, how do you explain in court? If I can say to the judge, listen, first of all, I'm a student of self-protection. You see me standing with my hands up. I'm not standing like this because I don't want to fight. I try to de-escalate. Look at his body. Let's say there was camera. Yes. And now we go in court looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Then I see to the judge, look, you see, he is aggressive. I try to talk him down. He said to me, then just lie. He said to me, he wants to stab me. I was so scared because a judge understands fear. They doesn't understand fight stress. They don't understand adrenaline, but they understand fear. Now you see, because I'm a student of self-protection, he's reaching for something. I don't see his hand anymore. That made me so scared that I had to hit him first. And especially what we install on our students, when I hit first, I grab him too. The main reason I grab him is if I knock him out, that I control his descent. I want to protect myself and not killing him doing it, because people die on the street, not from the first hit, but get unconscious and land on the concrete. That's how they die. So I grab him to control the descent. Really important. Another reason is I want to keep him here so I can hit him until the threat's done. Also, I want to keep him here. Let's say he drops body weight. I now know I need to stop. He's not longer combative. Another reason can be I can pull him against my shot. I have a collision effect, so I can generate more impact. Another reason can be I can keep him as a shield for a friend coming for a split second in time. But let's say you hit him, grab him, and now he's knocked out, and now you put him on the side. Now I can tell the judge, you see, he said he would stab me. I hit him, but I still see him reaching for the knife. Now I grab him. You see me also, because a good student of self-protection, I know he's knocked out. I control the descent, and I put him in recovery position. Now you have a story. I'm not telling you that it's all the time like this, but I rather explain in court and maybe still go to jail than wait for confirmation with a knife in my carotid artery.
I get that. That's a good explanation. I know sometimes people are going to be wondering. You mentioned the shirt, because I see a lot of street fights again, and I've talked to a couple of other guys, instructors. But one of the things I always notice, a lot of guys in street fights, a lot of people, if they get close, they start grabbing shirts.
Yes.
And but you say it's interesting because you're proactive already in grabbing the shirt.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this shirt grabbing. Why is everybody grabbing shirts?
It's innate. It's innate to control and then hammer fist. That's what a lot of people do. They grab and they hit. So that's why you see is utilizing that. we grab and we hit because it's already installed in us. If you see two babies fight, I'm not promoting something in this, but they make automatically, they want to grab something and hand in the face and they want to hit. So when I grab a t-shirt, I never start with grabbing a t-shirt. I hit and I grab, and the grab is also with impact. So I hit as hard as I can to grab you. But again, like I said before, the majority or the main reason is to control his descent. But also, if I grab him, I don't have to index anymore. This is my index. I now know if I hit and I hit and I hit that I can reach target. It's what happens in MMA all the time. They first get a hand on the target, and then it follows with a hammer or a fist or an elbow, etc. So that's an attachment. It's really what it is. So it's innate, but we actually train that. And we train, in this case, that you train always for the level 10 threat. Yes, you have to train for the Terminator, we say. So I always say, train for the Terminator, but also think like Terminator. So how can I eliminate the threat? So I'm not seeing a human being. I'm not seeing somebody's son, brother. I really dehumanize the person. And I see Lee calls it a piece of meat. I see a robot that I need to destroy to come home safe. But let's say I hit and I grab, and I feel because of the attachment that his body weight's dropping, I stop. But let's say I hit and I grab and he's still fighting. I need to hit him again. Let's say now he protects the head. I can still find the attachment. He's protecting head. Now I need to find a new principle, the principle of high-low. Now I'll grab him again, knee him in the groin, for example. If this is enough, I stop. If that's still not enough, now I snatch him on the floor. So I use the head as an impact weapon against the floor, or the floor against the head. Now I can regulate this force also. It's a security context. I will snatch you to the floor and really pull you off the floor to control you so you don't crush your head. But let's say the one has a knife. I will knee him and now I will accelerate his head against the floor. Now I have a level 10 response, understand? So the attachment is good for all of that.
You know, it's interesting because I know I've talked about it. This too is when somebody grabs you by the shirt or somebody tries to choke you, right? I don't know how many people actually choke like this, but when they try to, what?
That's exactly my point. If someone, I saw it only one time happening with my colleague, and he just gave him a fist on the eyeball, was done. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying, because you got both hands in the neck, and I'm looking at it going, okay, well, your both hands are occupied here. I'm just going to do an uppercut or a little Three Stooges right in the eyes. And yes, this game is over. But I guess it kind of applies a little bit to the shirt. If they grab your shirt, now their right hand is open for a left hook if you want it.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
Yeah.
Am I off here? Or?
No, you're not off. But that's in the case of when somebody is intimidating you, grabbing you.
Yeah.
How we use it, we hit first, so he has something to think about. He is still busy with brain shake. And in that split second, I hit him again hard, and I'll follow up directly. So there's no time for him. And it's always funny when people don't understand the material and they see a guy in a suit or a helmet and he gets the hit and then we grab and he hit. They always say something in the lines, especially the keyboard warriors. They say, yeah, it's funny. They never hit back. And I say, come to my gym without ego, put the helmet on and fight back as much as you can. But if the first hit is hard enough, you only think about self-preservation. You don't think about fighting back. You're going to the back foot. If you do it quick enough. Yes, of course, if you hit, grab, and wait too long, somebody will retaliate. But the point is, that's what I said with Blitzkrieg, you want to attack him and keep on attacking until the threat is done. Yeah, it's totally different. Feeling is believing. And also, the choke, it has its time and place, because when it's for intimidation, somebody can grab you, control you, and if you get your brain intimidated by the words coming out of the subject's mouth and it's vulgar and you're not used to it and you capitulate from the inside, now it's purely intimidation, and that can quickly escalate in something much, much worse. So there's a time and place for the choke, but I never understood that they train it so much without the role play, because you have to get the role play involved, because your subconscious brain doesn't know the difference between real violence, simulated violence, or visual violence. Because I have a clip on YouTube, not to promote it, just telling you, it's called intimidation. And when we grab and we scream each other in the face, and the majority of people get it. And once in a while, somebody says, this is just stupid. But don't understand that if this happens to you, and I know it's my friend doing a drill with me, he's screaming in my face, but you get tunnel vision. Your amygdala, your threat detecting organ, doesn't know. So you get tunnel vision, you get shaking extremities, even get a dry mouth, until the point that when I'm the role player screaming you in the face, I have shaking extremities, I have a dry mouth. That is all adrenaline effects. So yes, you can simulate that. Yes, train it. You will experience training, and feeling is believing again.
That's so true. I remember when I was training, they choked me out a few times, and you have to have that feel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yes.
kind of like an anesthesia, so it really doesn't feel like much of anything. But I remember the one guy who trained me. The very first time I ever worked with him, it was interesting because what he did was he punched me in the face. We were kind of practicing boxing, and he punched me in the face, and he saw that I was kind of like wondering, well, what the hell was that? But he immediately yelled at me and he said, "Don't think, keep fighting." And he hit me again. He said, "Keep fighting." And I kept, oh, okay. So I started to wake up and started to punch back. But he would always do that when he got me the first time. He kept hitting me and he would say, "Just keep fighting. Stop thinking about it. Keep fighting."
Yes.
And it was interesting because he did. After a while, you just, okay, I got hit. So what? Keep going. You got to keep moving.
That's why it's good. Because some people always say they see our scenario training, or they don't see our scenario training. They only see the drills, and they say something, "But do you spar?" And then I say, sparring is not real violence at all. It's not. But yes, we spar because it's good for what you just said, getting used to impact, understand that you need to keep on going, understand range, understand conditioning, understand eating a shot. That's really important. So if you do that enough, you don't care that much about the punch. And this is enhancing your predatory mindset. Because now you can say to the individual that is aggressive in your face, how much harder than my training can you be? That is a predatory mindset, right? That's different than thinking like, oh, I don't hope he will hit me. How will that feel? You know, because you just did it last Tuesday.
Exactly. Again, folks, we're talking to Michiel from Urban Combatives Netherlands. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Michiel, we got a few minutes left, and I wanted to get your opinion on a few things and then find out your favorite movie. But before we do that, closed fist or open fist? I hear this debate a lot. Some people say closed fist. He's showing me his closed fist right now, I think. Is it closed?
Open fist, but my knuckle is gone.
Oh.
You see? The
Yeah.
last knuckle is gone. So what happens on the real fight stress? Hand-eye coordination, that is fine motor skill, disappears. So if you can stay cognitive, in the case you want to hit first, and you can have a perfect hook, because I'm a Thai boxer from younger on, and I understood that hitting is perfect. I like to hook. It's perfect. It works really spot. But the concept is hitting something hard like a knuckle against something soft, or something soft like the palm against something hard. So I found out that when you use a palm strike, that you don't have to aim that much. And there are some people that say like, yeah, but if you hit the forehead with the palm strike, it's not effective. I say to them, you don't know what you talk about, because if you hit hard enough, it is effective. The best way to knock somebody out is to generate torque. Yes, I have to say a slap, but a good palm strike on a ledge of bone or somewhere on the skull works fine. A palm strike on the nose is not so efficient. You just break the nose, but you don't have a brain shake. The point is that you want to have the brain that is in the cerebral spinal fluid. You want to shake it and spin it. That's the best way. And an open hand to the face has also the bonus that the fingers, maybe you can gouge an eye. I'm not teaching you eye jab, because that's, in my opinion, too much fine motor skill on the fight stress. But if I put my palm in your face, I have 5 chances of by accident piercing your eye, for example. That is good for me. So I would suggest palm strike. That said, it comes out 9 out of 10 times with a fist. But again, if you can stay cognitive, you choose. I would always go for palm strikes, because when I was working the doors and I had to become physical, I was always with my hands injury, hands in the buckets of ice, on cool packs. It's because you cannot aim that well. And if somebody is turning away, you hit the back of the skull, for example, that is destroying the hand. That's actually how this happened against the fight against 5 military people. So if you can install open hand, I truly believe that the impact power can be the same if you train hard enough. That said, if you are a boxer, just do what you want, but just understand the consequence of injury. Yeah, and because aiming under real fight stress is difficult, especially because you never fight one-on-one against the street. You hit somebody, if you have a good hit, that's fine. He goes down. Now another one is coming. He hit him. But I always have, when I punch with the fist, I always have injury on this side of my hand. I don't, the mouse we call it, but it's really difficult. Last time it took me 6 months that I can make a good close fist again when I knock some people out. Yeah, 6 months, like really like a weak spot. So I would suggest try to generate as much impact with open hand. Yes.
I guess I got a few more questions. We'll go quickly. A front kick. Do you ever see those being effective?
Yes, I use them a lot in the context of security. So, for example, I try to de-escalate. I try to get somebody out of my personal space. If he's not doing that, I will push him in an explosive way, and I will give verbal commands. Back up, sir. Or if I become more aggressive, back the fuck up. I will show him my more aggressive side. Yes. Sometimes, because if I do it aggressive and your voice and your demeanor and your body language profile should be on point. So, I mean, predatory, nose over toes, screaming like you want to destroy him. In this case, he often happens, he gets problem, we call this, he has to deal with the sticky feet. So his ego says, I want to go forward, but he had just a hard explosive push, and now somebody is screaming to him. So now his brain says, no, man, dude, fuck no. So his brain is thinking self-preservation. So you get the sticky feet. But once in a while, somebody breaks out of the sticky feet, and now he comes forward attacking you. In that case, I use a front kick to the dick or a push kick to the stomach to get distance. But the majority of times I will spy kick the groin. And don't think it's so effective like all gruff boys think, because it's not. Because I had one time a kick in the groin. The guy went on the floor screaming for his mother. One time I kicked somebody in the groin. He was frozen on the spot. No voice at all, but also screaming from his mother from the inside. And one time I kicked 100% on target, no reaction at all. And I said to my colleague, I was right. I hit him right. He said, yeah, 100% in the groin, but no reaction, maybe because of drugs, etc. So understand this in your training, that it's not so effective if you think a kick in the groin.
That's a good point. No, it doesn't always work for sure.
No.
Folks, again, it was Michiel Mulder. You can find him at Urban Combatives Netherlands on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I guess my last question, Michiel, I'll ask you this. We talked about movies already. If you had an opportunity to fight anybody in the UFC in the last few years, who would you want to fight? Who do you think would be a good match? And I'm talking legitimate match, not a street fight, but who would you want to fight if you could?
That's a good question. I want to fight Khabib.
Oh, really? Khabib, that would be your choice. So
Yes,
hope for the
because
best.
he will fold me into a pretzel. But I always find out if somebody is destroying me, this gives me a new need to learn, and I want to learn from him. I want him to teach me, and sometimes it goes the hard way. So I have no problem that I get choked out by him. For example, he's such a great athlete, such a sportsman, and mindset of a warrior. Yes, I would totally choose him purely to get my knowledge up. Yes, because I have no chance without a knife with him, or without full on be the first with action, etc., etc. But in his rules, in his cage, no way. I have no problem with that.
It's a good choice. A good explanation. I guess, I actually forgot to ask you this real quick. Do you find, we used to hear it a lot, and I still hear it every so often, that a lot of the fights go to the ground. But when I look at street fights, the only time they ever go to the ground, or most of the time when they go to the ground when I'm watching them, is because they got knocked down. They got knocked out. I don't see them usually going to the ground and fighting unless you're a cop and you're trying to restrain them.
Exactly.
Am I right there?
Yeah, I think you're right, because the most fight goes to the ground. It comes all from the Gracies. Don't get me wrong, they're brilliant. Mm-hmm. And Gracie combatives, I don't think it's combatives. It's just their system. It's great, but they say that it works on the street, and that's not true. And when they show footage of the street in their book, they see one of the brothers of the Gracie family, big respect for them, but they're fighting on a beach. And then people have a circle And yes, the BJJ, the Gracie specialist, is destroying the other human being, but that's not real violence, is it? That's a matched fight on the beach. It's totally different. Yeah. And also, I'm not telling you that BJJ guys don't have a chance. They have a chance. But again, you never fight one-on-one on the street. If they go to the floor, I saw a girl smashing a wine bottle in the neck of a bouncer. He was on top. And in this case, it just broke and it didn't open him up. But she didn't know that she did it because she was shocked that she did it. She wants to slap him, but she forgot the wine glass in the hand. I'm telling you that on the street, on the floor, you're so vulnerable. So yes, if you're alone, excluded, yes, really strong BJJ, really good. But I train my students, yes, floor, 100%. Don't be in denial. Every fight can go to the floor. Yes, you have to be effective. Yes, you have to be really good. And I even tell them, grapple. Go to BJJ, become a good wrestler, but be sure it doesn't become your blueprint. Don't forget to gouge, to bite, to rip, because the BJJer says, yeah, we can also do that. Yes, you can, but you fight like you train. So I don't want to get in. I want to use my BJJ skills and my grappling skills to get up on get up on your feet as soon as you can. So it has a time and place everywhere. But if you work on your stand-up game, it doesn't go necessarily to the ground. No way. So I teach my students to stay on their feet as soon as they can, but also to when they go down, but also stay on the feet. Yeah. So balance is 100%. And the funny thing is, the same principles that work on the floor, like control, finding your balance, position before submission, also counts when you have to stand up grapple. So yes, a fight is a fight. It can go to every direction. But if you are clinical about it, you keep somebody on distance, you hit him first, you look around for the secondary third threat coming in, you have a big chance of staying on the feet.
Oh, great. Excellent stuff. Again, Michiel Mulder, folks. You can find him at Urban Combatives Netherlands on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I would highly recommend checking it out. He's got some great videos you can see on Instagram. Just to kind of give you an idea, he's got some from close quarters. He talks about some de-escalation aspects as well. He talks on there. He shows you a lot of the work that they're doing in the studio. Do you have an online program, Michiel, or is it just strictly live?
I'm working on that. It's going to be an online learning platform. Yes, for the people, the students of self-protection, and also the instructors that are teaching self-protection. So it's going to be geared around all the material from Urban Combatives, for Lee Morrison's Urban Combatives. So how I install his principles and concept in my students. So it's going to be there. Yes, but it's a lot of work to film. We are fully busy with that. So yeah.
Do you travel around to teach as well, or does everybody have to come to the Netherlands? Okay, you do travel.
No, I travel a lot, to be honest. I'm mainly teaching the international circuit. So once in a while I have a Dutch seminar, but this upcoming weekend I'm in Belgium. Last weekend I was in the Czech Republic, Germany, France. We go everywhere. Serious. Yes.
Ever been to US, California?
No, a lot of people, because something is happening with my YouTube, a lot of people from that area, they say, I want you for a seminar, and hopefully in the future it will happen. We have to wait for all the measures of COVID, etc. But I hope in the future that I want to plant my flag there. Yes, 100%. That's my main goal, to teach you, you warriors.
Absolutely. If you're in California, I'll be there to check it out.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you very much, Michiel, again, for taking the time to be with us.
Yes, more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening, folks. Hope we got a lot of insight. I sure did. Make sure to share, subscribe, hit that like button. You know, we like it, and stay safe out there, folks.